I thought we needed a change, and I love Tom. He's a great dude, and he's done a great job for us. He's a career ball coach, and but I thought we just needed a change, and part of that is that I want to see what Darius does with it, and see how he handles it. I mean, he's done it before. He's been in this situation before. He's been a teams guy before, and he's very well versed. But I think it was time for a change there, and that's why we did that.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation, First and 10, brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos STN Sports. I'm Vinny Bonsignore, joined by my colleague and good friend Adam Hill. We cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. And you just heard from Pete Carroll talking about what went into the firing of Tom McMahon, the special teams coordinator. That happened on, what was it, Monday, right? Yesterday?
Today's Monday.
See?
It was Friday after their Thursday game.
My days
I know
are all
It's wild.
screwed up right now.
Well, yeah, because the NFL is a very much a routine business, and when you have Thursday games, it kind of throws off the whole schedule. Now, Monday game coming up this week, so this week's schedule is thrown off. But yes, it is.
It's
it's
literally
Monday.
the day after the game, which would have been a Monday.
Yes, but in Friday in this case.
Exactly.
Today is Monday.
So that's my fault. But like Adam said, you get into a regimen, and the days just follow, and the day after the game is always Monday for me. So anyway, that's just neither here nor there. Pete Carroll talking about the dismissal, midseason dismissal. He doesn't often do that in his career, where he fires a coach, a colleague, but in this case, he felt like it needed to get done. And Adam, it's not just Daniel Carlson missing a field goal as he did against the Denver Broncos, or getting a kick blocked as he did against the Chicago Bears, or missing an extra point. This was breakdowns in terms of coverage, a 90-yard punt return for a touchdown against the Washington Commanders. In that same game was a 65-yard opening kickoff return. It's just been a combination of bad play by the special teams, not just one thing that you could pin it on. And Pete Carroll obviously felt like something needed to change. My question to you is, they elevate their assistant special teams coach, but how much of a change can that possibly make at this time in the year where your scheme is in? You're not going to change that dramatically. Is a new voice really going to make that big of a difference?
Probably not a whole lot, especially, they've, Darius Winton and Tom McMahon have worked together for a long time, so, it'll probably be similar ideas, similar concepts, you would imagine. It is a new voice, and it's really more about the message of, hey, people are going to be held accountable. Now, it does seem Pete Carroll's been very quick to criticize the special teams when other people make mistakes. They don't quite get that same level of critique necessarily. But we did, it was a move that I think a lot of people have expected for a while now. Tom McMahon wasn't, he was a holdover from the previous staff. It's not somebody that Pete Carroll brought in. Staffs, multiple staffs really going back, a couple coaches here. So he's been here a while. And yeah, the Raiders, you mentioned 2 punts blocked this year. They've had 4 blocked since the start of last season. No other team in the league has had more than 2. So it's double any other team in the league. That's not acceptable. The blocked field goal, of course, against the Bears, that could have changed that game. Not acceptable. The coverage, all those things for sure. So you understand why they made the move. And, we'll see if the Raiders are able to, get any kind of a bounce out of that on the special teams. Maybe it's, there's just a message to everybody of, hey, if you're not doing your job up to the standard, the Raiders will move on, and that's, I think, what Pete Carroll is kind of delivering with this.
What do you think is going on with Daniel Carlson?
Well, I think a couple of things. First of all, he's, I believe, 12 of 16 this year. One of those was the block against the Bears, which, some blocks are kickers' fault. That was really just a horrible breakdown of protection on that play, and it was, obviously Michael Mayer wasn't there. It was a backup in his place was Jonah Laulu, who, just didn't get that block done. So that was one. The field goals that he's missed, the shortest one that he missed was this past week against Denver, 48 yards. That's the shortest field goal that he's missed this year.
Which is a gimme at this point for good NFL.
Should be, although the ball was not traveling well, obviously, in that game the other night. We saw the Broncos short on a field goal that they tried. The punter for the Broncos had his ball kind of blow away from him as he dropped it to punt it. So The ball, when it was sitting on the field, it was just blowing around before they would have a chance to snap it
Yeah.
in some cases. So the wind was gusting and kicking up in random times. So, I think that was part of it. But yeah, he's missed a couple of kicks this year. 2 kicks that he's missed from 50 plus. Those are kicks that he usually makes. I know he's disappointed. Obviously, an extra point as well that he missed. Those are kicks that he usually makes and he wants to make. But it's not like he's been missing a lot of easy kicks.
Was it the preseason or the scrimmage where he missed that kick? Remember there was a
I
kick?
thought it was a scrimmage.
It was a scrimmage where they ran a 2-minute drill or whatever, end of the game, and they created that situation for him, and he left it short. And that's the thing I'm kind of like. It just doesn't feel like he's got this year, and maybe there's an injury that we don't know about, something that he's dealing with. These guys aren't going to disclose things like that.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel like the normal electricity that he has in his leg. It's just doesn't feel like it's there.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the issues potentially, and who knows what this is, but these are human beings too. That he was one of the Raiders who was going in the final year of his contract this offseason, and they chose not to. So he basically was kicking. He's kicking this season for his contract, right?
Yeah.
So that adds pressure, and those are kind of things like, again, is that why he's missed kicks? I don't think so necessarily, but kickers don't like to have things on their mind, right? I mean, they like to clear their mind as much as possible, and that's just one factor that is laying out there and sitting out there over this season. So is that part of it? Potentially. Look, I think he would tell you he just needs to make kicks.
Yeah, going back to the previous regime, I know.
Also, one other thing that it just popped in my mind too. And this is a story I did last year, and maybe I'll follow up again with Daniel on this week. But one of the things he talked about last year was with the new kick, and this is everybody, right? With the new kickoffs, you're changing your leg angle, you're changing the way that you kick,
Right.
and they're doing multiple different kickoffs. Some kind of knuckleballs, some short, some long, some in the corner. Like, it's a different leg swing every time. And it used to be you had the exact same leg swing for kickoffs and field goals, and you just kind of stuck with that. And last year he did say it was an adjustment to go from, all right, I'm going to kick off this way, and then I'm going to kick off this way the next time, and then I'm going to kick a field goal, and it's all going to be different motions. And so I think that
It'd be like
another
shooting
thing.
free throws a bunch of different ways.
Yeah. And again, like, all these things are, you could just say, well, it's all excuses, but I think it's more reasons, it's more potentially things that are out there, and that, you start to examine, and when a player is not playing the same way that they usually do, why is that happening? And, there's different reasons that potentially could be.
In a world where they took care of Max Crosby, AJ Cole, they took care of him quickly. In a world where those two players were taken care of in terms of their contracts going into
Colton?
Oh, and Colton Miller, yeah, thank you very much. 2 players weren't, 2 prominent players, and that was Jacoby Myers and Daniel Carlson. And I know that, at least in Daniel's case, the previous regime, that was on our list of things to do. They were going to get that locked up. They wanted to get their punter and kicker lined up. Why do you think this regime was either averse to that, or it just seems like they were averse to that? I mean, you figure that something would have been worked out if they wanted it to get worked out.
I think it may have been the other way. I think it might have been, well, and it's it's obviously both sides, but Daniel Carlson. Let's also point out, last year was not his best year. He was an All Pro a couple of years ago. He was a Pro Bowler for several years. Last year wasn't his best season, and I think that the Raiders probably went into contract discussions and said, hey, you weren't one of the best 5 kickers in the league last year, so we're not going to pay you like one of the 5 or 10 best kickers in the league. And they were trying to, I think, potentially maybe do a deal for less than what he probably thought that he should deserve. So I don't think they were opposed to signing him. I just think it was something that was going to be a little bit tougher to come to. And look, you gamble on yourself. You choose not to sign, and then you have a potentially down year. And so we'll see. If he's second half of the season coming up, if he closes out strong, I'm sure he's going to be well paid, either by the Raiders or somewhere else. But there's a lot hanging over him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, there's more news with the Raiders, including a very prominent player going on the injured reserve list, which opens the door for a young player to potentially seize. But before we take the break, just want to remind everybody that we're still offering a 3-month digital subscription to VegasNation.com for 1 quarter. The entire 3 months for 1 quarter. It'll get you beyond the regular season into the Senior Bowl and things like that. Go to
A quarter of the year for a quarter.
there you go. mylvrj.com/nation. That's mylvrj.com/nation. Go to that site and sign up for the next 3 months of a digital subscription for Vegas Nation for exactly 1 quarter.
He's a really good athlete. He's bright. He's got a good mentality about him. He brings energy when he's on a field. It's just a matter of time before he really gains command of what's going on with the game itself. So he's got a real high upside. So we're interested in giving him a chance to show what he can do and see if he can get on the field and help us out. So really nothing but positive so far.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation First and 10, brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos STN Sports. Vinny Bonsignore and Adam Hill. You just heard again from Pete Carroll talking about the possibility of rookie Caleb Rogers, the 3rd-round pick from Texas Tech, potentially getting an opportunity here to play. Why would that be the case? Well, Jackson Powers-Johnson got hurt on Thursday night against the Denver Broncos. We kind of got a sense that it was pretty serious. Yeah. It is. This is probably going to be a season ender for him because he goes on IR. That means he's going to miss the next 4 games by rule, which leaves only 4 games after that, which there's ramp-up period. There's all kinds of things to also consider coming off of IR. So it looks like right now Jackson Powers-Johnson might be done for the season. It opens the door for a young rookie, Caleb Rogers, who's 24 years old, by the way. So he's advanced for a rookie. And I'll say this. Could you go with Alex Kappa at right guard as the replacement for Jackson Powers-Johnson? Sure, you could do that. And, I'm sure there would be some justifiable reasons in the coach's mind for making that decision. For my money, I think Caleb Rogers needs to be out there. Like, look, if this was a team that was knocking on the door for the playoffs, you probably go with a veteran, somebody that's going to stabilize it, and you can count on him, and maybe not have the ups and downs that you might have with a rookie. The Raiders are not a playoff team; they're 2-7. This season has got out from under them again. I think it's time when there's an opportunity that arises, you play the young guy. And live with the consequences, just as they did with are doing with Jack Besh and Dante Thornton. Hopefully for those guys, the hope is anyway in this building that it's not going to all be for naught, the struggles, that there's going to be a payoff for it, and it's going to expedite their development, and they're going to be better off next year for all of this. I think Caleb Rogers fits that bill right now.
Yeah, this is what I've been saying for a long time, although that's not really how the Raiders have done things. Tyler Lockett played a lot on Thursday. And, we kind of discussed before, we thought it was a perfect opportunity to use the younger guys more at wide receiver.
Dante got time.
He did.
And when they went to the 3rd wide receiver, Tyler came in and he kind of split time a little bit with Jack Bash.
Yeah.
And then once Dante dropped the ball, then he was kind of out of the rotation.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Yeah. It just needs to be Jack Bash and Dante Thornton.
Yeah, and it needs to, I think, be Caleb Rogers. So,
Yeah.
We'll see what they do going forward. I would imagine that Caleb at least gets a shot. Mm-hmm. But something tells me, the way that they've handled things, that you'll potentially see Alex Cap out there, which would not it wouldn't be the best move to me for setting up for the future, but that's kind of how we've seen them go about the process.
Yeah, no, I did get a chance to talk. A couple of things real quick, maybe back up here. There's still uncertainty about Dylan Parham.
Sure.
Pete Carroll was optimistic about him, but it's Monday, and there's an extra day also because of the Monday night game against the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see how that goes. He might not be able to play, and in that case, then obviously they're going to have some decisions to make. But if Dylan can't go, and obviously Jackson Powers-Johnson is out, to me it's got to be Will Putman and Caleb Rogers. I got a chance to talk to Caleb Rogers. He sounds pretty excited, which leads me to believe that they're basically saying, hey, you got a real opportunity here. Go show us that you deserve to go play out there on Monday night and that you're further along. I talked to him about this whole process of what he's been working on. And one thing that he said that was pretty interesting was that his hand, the coordination between his hands and footwork were kind of out of whack a little bit. He's been working on that. It's kind of like if you could picture playing drums where you got to, hit with your hands and with your feet, you got to set the feet correctly. It's all got to be a timing thing. And
That
he's
looked like the worst drumming I've ever seen.
I'm shorthanded here, but yeah, to be honest with you, I played the violin, I played the clarinet. I could not do the drums if my life depended on why. I can't get my hands and my feet to work the way they need to work. And he was, as Caleb was telling me, that's kind of like what you're doing as an offensive lineman. If your hand work isn't good, it doesn't matter sometimes what your feet are doing. If your feet aren't good, it doesn't matter what your hands are doing. You have to get it working in unison. So he's been working at that. Feels like it's really come along since rookie minicamp and throughout the season. This is a really good athlete. He's very mature. You talk to him and very impressive. Sure. I just think that again, you live with the consequences. Obviously, if he gets ridiculous, you can't keep running him out there. But now is the time to see what this rookie is all about.
Why are we just now learning about all your musical talents on the podcast?
Oh,
it should have been discussed maybe a while ago. But yeah, I mean, I think it's time to sink or swim, right? Throw them out there. It's what we've kind of said about some of the other positions as well. Will Putnam did get extensive playing time on Thursday.
Second-year player from Clemson.
And so, I talked to him after the game, and he said there was a lot to clean up, but, some stuff to build on as well. So we'll see if there is potentially, two guard spots that they have to fill. If Dylan Parham is also, he is hurt. We don't know how extensive that's going to be, but, then you've got two younger players that they could work in there. So
right.
I think
Now's the time.
I think at all positions, I just want to continue to see younger guys playing, getting opportunities, and again, if they go out there and they perform well, then you've got something for the future, and if they don't, then you have to start making decisions this offseason.
And that's good knowledge to have.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, footnote about my musical career: I learned the violin first, and it was the Suzuki method. The Suzuki method, which is a very real thing, is memorizing your finger placement and all that, and memorizing the notes rather than reading the notes. So then by the time I got to junior high school and high school, I could not read the music, and you have to do that when you're in orchestra. So it was a quick end to my musical career. It's stymied right there because of that. So Suzuki method was great if you want to memorize things, but it doesn't teach you how to read music. So be careful with all that. All right.
Never trusted Suzuki.
Did you know? Have you heard of it?
No.
Well, yeah, it kind of really. Maybe I could have had a career had I just learned how to actually read.
I think on the next pod we're going to have you bring in your violin and play some.
Oh yeah, maybe we'll see. All right, so it's a weird week for the Raiders. They played on Thursday. Now they're going to play on Monday night. So today's Monday. We got our days correct. Today's Monday. They had a little bonus practice, or it was actually a walkthrough today, and then some media availability. That's where we were able to talk to Caleb and Coach Carroll. Tomorrow they are practicing on Tuesday, which is normally an off day as well. But they'll practice tomorrow, and then they're off on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then they'll resume on Thursday. Thursday becomes the new Wednesday, really, if you're thinking about a Sunday schedule.
It's all very confusing.
It is very confusing, but they'll get their work in. They'll get their normal 3 days. It'll be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then off on Sunday, and then game on Monday. So as we quickly look ahead, real quick here with the Dallas Cowboys, I just don't know that as bad as the Dallas Cowboys have been and as bad as their defense has played, I'm not quite sure the Raiders offense can keep up with this Cowboys offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the challenge. You expect the Cowboys are going to be able to score, but they're pretty susceptible. But the Raiders, don't really have the firepower to get in a shootout, I wouldn't think. But, I think it'll be an interesting game, an entertaining game. I know Cowboys fans are very fired up for.
Oh, they'll be here
for that. I think it'll be a more fun game than Thursday, and certainly the game in Kansas City as well. Two of those games. I talked to Brock Bowers about an offensive player being in those defensive type games, and he said, "Well, it's certainly more fun when it's a high scoring game."
For sure.
I would imagine. More certainly, let's say easy to clear the bar, but definitely higher scoring game than we saw on Thursday.
Last question for you: the Raiders lost 2 games last week within 5 days.
Yeah.
And I think it was 4 points total, right? 3 points to the Denver Broncos, 1 point to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is there any level of progress in your mind that they were competitive, at least competitive in those games, if not winning?
Yeah, I mean, Yes, I think if you look at them, they're certainly very different games. One very high scoring, especially in the fourth quarter. Last week really couldn't get anything going. I think you're encouraged more than anything by the fact that the defense, played pretty well.
How much of
against
that was
Denver.
Bo Nix, though?
A lot of it was.
This week will be the better litmus test on that.
Yeah, and the offense played well, the week before. So they've got to put it together and have all phases of the game work together and play
special
well. Yeah, and then look, they had the lead because of special teams on Thursday. So I think that there was a lot that they need to improve. There's certain things they need to work on, but they were able to really control field position in that first quarter with a couple of brilliant AJ Cole punts. So. That helped, and but they've got to have it for 4 quarters. They've got to have all 3 phases working for all 4 quarters. And I know that's incredibly cliche and incredibly basic and obvious, but it's true. Like it's what this team needs, and they haven't been able to really do that this season.
They have not. All right, so we will be back at it on Thursday when the Raiders officially get back to practice. Tomorrow is one of those kind of bonus practices. We'll be back at it Thursday. Previewing the Raiders game against the Dallas Cowboys. Also, I would imagine that there's going to be, there's going to be some roster moves. So we're curious.
I think there's at least going to be one.
We're curious how that is all going to play out. Especially with Jackson Powers-Johnson going on IR, that opens up a roster spot. We'll see how they fill that roster spot, and I would expect that there's going to be a series of moves.
To say there is a new player in the locker room today who they've not officially announced the signing yet,
right.
But it's an interesting one, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about on Thursday.
What a tease, Adam.
Yeah.
What a tease. Until then, enjoy the next couple of days and be on the lookout over at Vegas Nation, because who knows, maybe we'll be reporting on some of that here pretty soon, some of the changes that we expect to happen with the Raiders roster. Go to vegasnation.com. Check us all out, all of our stories and all that. We want to say thanks to all of you guys and gals for all of your support. We truly appreciate your why we do this. Remember, go to vegasnation.com mylvrj.com/nation. I'm going to say that one more time. mylvrj.com/nation. And go get the next 3 months of Vegas Nation digital subscription for 1 whole quarter. Thank you to the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Also, thank you to the Station Casinos STN Sports. Thanks to Dominic Lavoie for all of his great work that he's doing, putting in a little extra time today. Adam Hill, thank you. We will see you guys on Thursday.